Hello, my name is Michael Swinford. I'd like to welcome you to this edition of the Veterans Voice. This is a program about veterans, for veterans, and also for the civilian community in our area. We have two very special guests with us today, and we'll come back and introduce them right after this. Welcome back to the Veterans Voice. I have two distinguished guests with me today. I have Mr. Gayron Ferguson, his wife Donna. They are members of the Marine Corps League here in Paducah, and we'll be talking to them about the Marine Corps League and also a very special project that they're involved in. What is the Marine Corps League?
Well, the Marine Corps League was founded by an act of Congress. It's basically a veterans group that invites veterans and like members of their family to become members for the veteran and associate members for the family members, which my wife and I are associate members. I'm the adjutant of the Marine Corps League, but we meet once a month, conduct regular business, but we do a lot of fundraising and help out various organizations, you know, like the Hugs Project and Toys for Tots, and help wounded veterans that are in need of help here locally. Marine Corps League has a lot of different functions. We meet once a quarter to have a potluck dinner and things like that, just to get the camaraderie going.
Now, do you have to be a Marine to be a member or associate member?
No, you don't have to be a Marine. You just have to kind of have a Marine spirit, where you want to do good for the community, you want to do for others. You want the camaraderie of people who are like-minded.
Yeah. Well, I know I worked with the 1st Marine Air Wing in Vietnam. I was in the Navy, but I took care of the Marines. And without me, they wouldn't have got the new ponchos and the new rifles or anything they wanted. I made sure they got it. But
it's rare to get anything new.
Well, that's true. But you got to know people, really. But I knew people, so I was able to fulfill their requests just about it on any given time. Donna, are you part of the same group in the same status as your husband?
Yes, sir. I actually am the Marine birthday ball coordinator, so I got to, the last 3 years, got to do, the birthday ball.
You just had a Marine Corps birthday, did you not?
240th birthday of the Marine Corps this past November 10th.
Wasn't the 1st Marines actually part of the Navy and still are to a certain extent?
My uncle actually was in the Navy, and he came to my son's graduation at Marine Corps, and he brought a little thing that said the Marines were a department, were just a department of the Navy. Right. And of course underneath it said the men's department. But yeah, they are a department of the Navy, and Navy does have the oversight, I guess you'd say, of a lot of what goes on in the Marine Corps.
I always made sure the Marines I worked with knew that. And we had a lot of good time discussing that. We always heard you can tell a Marine, but you can't tell them much. So I guess that was probably true, but we did have a good relationship.
Some things never change.
Yeah, and they saved my behind a few times, so I'm very indebted to their bravery and their courage. And you can tell a Marine because of their bearing and their responsibilities they take serious. And I don't know where America would be without them, actually. But back in the whenever it started, 1700s, 1800s, wasn't the first people assigned on ships, and they were Marines?
Right. It actually founded in Tongue Tavern in 1775, when they decided to formulate the Marine Corps. Mm-hmm. And started in a bar, and I guess a
That
lot of them are
explains
well
a lot
known.
of things.
Explains a lot of things, I guess.
Well, they're a great bunch of guys. So, being I took care of the Marines in Vietnam, would I be eligible to join?
Yes, you could. You could join, depending on what you do, like the chaplains and corpsmen can become regular members, and then anybody else in the in other branches, and actually it doesn't even have to be in just the Navy, but they can become the associate members. Basically, the associate members, we don't make policy, but we have a say-so in everyday activity and everyday business. But the regular members, the actual Marines, actually the ones that set the policies.
Yeah.
And you know, which is just kind of a
Well, we've
the way
been
it is.
interacting, as you know, with the Marines Overture Recruiting Center, and they're a fine bunch of men. They really are, and we're so proud of them. And they come out every now and then and give us a glad hand, you know, and thanks, and that makes standing out in the heat and cold all worthwhile because they're protected.
right.
What's the most important thing that the Marine Corps League does?
I guess it's
nationwide?
community service to other people. In my opinion, of course, different people have different ideas as to what they feel responsible for, and they feel motivated about. And I think it's the way they get involved and help the community. Some people, a lot of the newer guys like the camaraderie to where they can share things with other members, you know, that you can't share with the general public. That's, you know, different folks will have a different perspective, but there's so many different things that you can latch on to, and like I say, mine just happens to be the community service. I'm big on that.
Have you realized in fundraising lately that the pie's getting smaller and there's more people wanting a piece of it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, we're getting to the point, especially in this area, that there's a lot of people flood into the area from parts unknown, get a bucket, stand in front of Walmart or some other big shopping center, and they're taking a lot of money away from the local charities, especially the military charities.
Yeah.
And I don't have the answer to that, but was something we're going to have to all confront in the future, that if we're to keep up our programs. What would you say?
We've actually investigated a couple of them along with the DAV, and found a couple of them that were not exactly on the up and up.
Yeah.
And that's why, you know, I encourage people, if you're going to donate, know who you're donating to. Don't just throw it out there. And if it's a local place, that's even better, because usually a larger percentage of your money is going to go to what it is you're donating. We called last year a bad year at the Hugs Project because 99.9185% of what we brought in actually went for sending care packages. We had less than a full percent was used for expenses, less than 1%.
Well, that takes a lot of volunteers and
It takes a lot of
personal
volunteers.
work, you know.
And you know, people that pay for things that we would normally have to pay for ourselves. We got people who just donate it and help us out.
Now,
So
you do this year-round? I mean, are you
Yes.
actually working year-round?
12 months out of the year.
So it's an ongoing thing all the
Right,
time?
right. Now the wife and I, we take off for 3 months out of the year. Last year we had 29 people taking our place while we were gone. Just keeping everything rolling for January, February, and March, because I don't like cold weather very well, and having a bad bike, that makes it even worse. And now that I've got a bad knee, it's going to make it even worse. So
Well, you're going to have to learn to slow down and be careful. That's what people tell me all the time.
That's true. That's true.
Things I used to just jump up and do, I have to sit there and ponder for a while before I get up and do it. But what type of items do you provide, and who do you provide it to?
Well, we provide to the guys that are serving most of them are in the Middle East. We've got a few that's scattered in other areas that is still in harm's way. We had some guys that were chasing down the pirates around the south tip of Africa for a couple of years that we were sending packages to. We had some guys that were in other areas that were involved in
The Ebola.
the Ebola thing that we were sending packages to. If they're in harm's way, we generally send them care packages. We start out with where people have donated magazines and things like that to us with some reading material. Then we give them personal hygiene items, and then we flood them with snacks. And we've gone to schools and churches and had the children make up homemade thank you cards and letters. We've had adults who make up cards and letters, or take just plain old thank you cards and write a little note in there thanking them for what they're doing for us. And of course, we've got our regular letter we put in case it's the first box they get, they'll know who it's coming from. And we package all this together. We've got places like Hallmark that when you buy a card, they ask you if you want to donate a card to the troops, and we send blank cards over so they can fill them out and send them home to their families.
That's good.
Karma Labs has donated over 12,000 tubes of Carmex lip balm to us to send over there.
Wow.
So different places have done things to help us out. And we've even got our foot powder provided to us from a place up in Edison, New Jersey.
That's good. That's needed.
So, you know, like I said, we've got a lot of help. We try to give them things that they don't just pick up over there. Now they've closed all the PXs, so they get whatever comes in the regular military boxes, which isn't a whole lot.
Now, how do you package this?
Well, we put them in the medium flat rate boxes. And like we'll buy big bags of candy and we'll buy different flavors and we'll mix it all up and then we'll put it in Ziploc baggies. We'll put personal hygiene items in baggies so that if anything breaks open, it doesn't get all over everything else, but they can reuse all these baggies when they get them over there. So,
So you're the president of this operation, is that correct?
yes,
And your wife is,
Vice President.
uh-oh. So you're in a
So-
good position to keep track of him.
Oh, yeah.
I remember in Vietnam, we would get care packages from back home and it'd be surrounded by popcorn. And, you know, we got all kinds of cookies and whatnot, and it made a difference. It really did, because a trip to the PX required you to go maybe 30, 40 miles sometimes, and some of it was not safe territory. But when you got there, you felt like you were in heaven because it was the closest thing to home. But when the mail came, it was like being at home, because your girlfriend would write you and she'd send you a batch of cookies. And I still haven't thanked everybody that sent me cookies, but
Yeah, we've got a lot of people that have never received anything. We've had some guys that's been over there 8, 9 times, never got a letter from home.
wow.
We find out about it. We make sure they get care packages every month until they get home. And I mean, we've got stacks of letters and cards and emails that were sent to us from different folks over there that if it don't put a lump in your throat, you're not really human.
Right.
You know, we had one guy in particular that at a time that I thought it was about time for us to quit because we were reducing numbers. It was, you know, right after quote unquote we got out of Iraq, which we've still got several thousand in Iraq. But I thought it might be time for us to slow down. And I got a letter from one of the guys that said that he had been home for 8 months physically, but mentally maybe not so much. And he said, I should have written. I should have written a whole lot sooner, and I intended to. But he said, I just wanted to let you know that even though I'm home, there's times when things aren't going so good, and I'll get the cards and letters that I got in my care packages, and I'll reread them, and it kind of helps me get through a bad day.
Well, it's got to be a great morale booster. I mean, having personally experienced the things from home that people send, simple things mean so much more, and we take so much for granted here. We can go to any store in town and get some toothpaste or whatever, but when you're in a war zone, sometimes it's just not available, or you have to buy it on the open market, which is scary.
Yeah.
I've actually had chaplains ask me to send them soap because
Yeah.
they had like 2 bars of soap to go around 36 different men.
Yeah.
And that's not going to last long.
No, not really, especially in a hot climate.
Right.
We didn't use soap. Every now and then somebody sends us some, but mostly it would melt before it got there, so we just quit asking for it. But well, now that he's been laid up, I guess it all fell on your shoulders, being the vice president and everything.
She's done a lot. If it
I
can't be
do
done
all
on a
the
computer,
running.
she's doing it.
Oh, I can tell when I get an email from you all whether it's her or you.
Yeah. I can actually type.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I can actually type.
Well, but that's-
if she wants something on the computer, she generally says, oh, tell so-and-so this. And
Well, that's what they got that auto correct for.
Exactly.
Best key on the keyboard, because it bailed me out of many a time when trying to write something.
I have noticed my spelling's gotten worse since it's got auto spell correct.
It will be that way.
Because I don't have to think about it anymore.
I just type what I think it sounds like, and it always tells me how wrong I am. And, But that's part of this future. And
Yeah.
would you say that the demand for your services is going to be on the increase, the way things are in the world?
I would say probably the more ground troops we get, the more we're actually called on. We're not sending nearly as many boxes as we were in 2010,
Right.
but we're sending quite a few more now than we were at the first of the year. We've had 2 whole units come home, and we've got 2 new units that's getting ready to replace them. We don't have their information. I got the information on 1 unit, but I can't start sending the boxes for about 3 weeks because they won't be there in time to get them.
Now, who on base knows about your project and contacts you to help them out? Is it the chaplain?
A lot of the family readiness groups know about us. A lot of the chaplains, some of the senior officers know about us, some of the colonels and so forth know about us. And some of the guys who've been over there and we've supported already 2 or 3 times. You know, in fact, I just got a letter or an email 3 days ago, and he said, you know, that he was being redeployed, and he said, you know, I really appreciated the support I got from you, and if you're still doing it, I'd be happy to receive some more packages. So I had to email him back and tell him, of course we were, and, you know.
How about people that aren't in a war situation? Say there's a base we have up in Greenland and Iceland up in there. Would you support them also, or do they have
We
to be?
generally try to get guys that are in a combat zone or someplace where they don't have access to bases or PXs, because like I said, they've closed them all in Iraq and Afghanistan. They don't even have a PX. So, you know, and they get 1 hot meal a day. So MREs is it for the most part, other than their 1 hot meal a day, and if they miss that, they're just out of luck for that day. And so we're trying to, you know, make sure they're taken care of, but we have had people that were in non-hostile areas that had no other support. And even if you're not in a combat zone, if you're sitting here watching all your friends get stuff, even if they share it, it's not the same as getting something with your name on it and thinking that somebody actually cares about you.
Yeah. I still get a hankering every now and then for ham and lima beans. I liked them lima beans in Vietnam. They were nasty, but they were the lesser evil. Thank goodness we got those little bottles of Tabasco, and everything we ate, we put Tabasco on it. Even the fruitcake, you just about had to. It was nasty.
Yeah.
But they've made some improvements since that time, and it's a good thing they have, because what they used to say, the Army travels on its stomach, and that very well could be true.
Yeah.
But it seems to me like that your demand is going to pick up looking at the world affairs and what's moving and what isn't moving, and the times that we live in are treacherous times for everybody. We've just witnessed that over the course of the last few years.
Well, we're definitely not slowing down in Iraq or Afghanistan, and it looks like we're going to start picking up maybe Syria and some other places that we may end up going into, and I just don't see it being a thing of just stopping. I mean, I wish we could stop.
Yeah.
I wish it was all said and done and everybody was in a safer environment and we weren't needed. You know, but then again, I wish we didn't have to have safe houses for children.
Right.
I wish we didn't have a lot of things that we have to have. You know, it's just something that somebody asked me when we were going to quit because we'd reduced so many, and I said, when the last one comes home.
Right.
You know.
I get that feeling every now and then too in some of the projects I'm involved in. I wake up and I'm tired, and I just think I got to give this up. And, but my conscience starts to bother me, and I think, well, what about that young man somewhere needs this? And that gives me the courage and the strength to go on, because serving other people is probably the greatest gift you can give.
Yeah. Well, last May we celebrated our 8th birthday for a project that I was going to do while my son was in Fallujah, Iraq. And when he came home, I was pretty much going to let it slip away 8 years ago. And I was planning on sending maybe 2 to 3 boxes a month. And that was 25,000 boxes and over 8,000 different men and women ago.
Wow.
So, in 8 years.
Do you store all this stuff at your house? I mean,
We actually have a place that we use strictly for the Hugs Project, a house that's been donated, and the whole place is just for that, because we tried doing it out of my house for a while.
I bet that was fun.
And it got to the point where we couldn't even move in the house hardly. So when the three boys was in the house and they moved out, we saw an opportunity to just turn it over to the Hugs Project and let them use the place.
Now, is this a national program? I mean, is it nationwide?
Yeah, it actually started in Oklahoma and branched out to all over the country. For about the last 5 years, we've been the largest chapter in the nation, next to the actual headquarters.
If people were to donate items to you, what is the one item that you would put at the top of your list that you need?
One item. Wow.
What do we run out faster?
I would say probably, you know,
Deodorant,
snacks that are
Pop-Tarts.
travel-size snacks, and things that are not. We can't send glass bottles and we can't send liquids.
Right.
But other than that, we run out of snacks faster than anything,
Yeah.
because that's what's in the majority of our box.
Pop-Tarts, ramen noodles,
Yeah, the trail mix,
peanut butter
beef
crackers.
jerky.
Well, a
Beef
lot of us
jerky.
wouldn't be alive if it wasn't for them noodles.
Beef jerky is a big thing.
They get
Ramen
you
noodles
through-
are very
They get you
popular.
through school and get you through a lot of hard times,
Yeah.
and they're about 30 cents a package, so.
I had a guy that stopped by our booth at the barbecue on the river 2 or 3 years ago, and he told me, he said, yeah, when I went to Afghanistan, he said, I hated ramen noodles. He said, by the time I came home, he said, those are one of my favorite meals.
Hunger makes a difference sometimes.
Well, and having something with some flavor.
Right. A little flavor packet goes a long way when you're hungry.
And that's
But-
another thing, when we're doing fundraisers and we have, you know, soldiers come up and say, you know, I know you all, you know, I got packages from you, you know, it really, you know.
What kind of annual budget do you think you have approximately?
This year, I would say it's pushing the $50,000 mark. Considering the stuff that's not considering the stuff that's donated, the actual cash that we have to spend in order to get it over there. We probably somewhere between $50,000 to $75,000 is what we spent for 2015.
What is your primary fundraising effort? Is it the barbecue on the river?
No, actually, the bike rally that we do at the, usually it's the first Saturday of July. We had to do it the last Saturday of June this year, but normally the first Saturday of July we have a bike rally at Four Rivers Harley-Davidson. And that's the largest single fundraiser we do of the year, and then Barbecue on the River is second. And then, of course, I broke my leg on a motorcycle wreck, and we had about 3 fundraisers I wanted to do that we ended up having to cancel. And I was telling a lady that lives down in Florida about it. And so she sent us a $2,200 check because she asked me how much we normally made on those 3 fundraisers, and I said about $1,800 to $2,000 normally. And she said, well, I'm going to give you $2,200 not to do them.
Wow.
She said, get well so we can use you.
That's amazing, but that's the spirit, especially in this area.
Yeah.
People in Paducah and the surrounding area are so generous when it comes to helping other people.
Yes, they
Right,
are.
and she lived in Paducah. She just now migrated south, you know, so that she could get out of the
A lot of people do
weather.
that, yeah.
She's of the age that she can do that now, and you know, but she's really close to the Hugs Project, and she's really close to us, and she wanted to help out, and you know, and she does everything she can, and she happens to have helped out a lot at that moment. A lot of our donations are $5 and $10 a month, every month. We get people that do it on automatic PayPal. We do people who just send us a check every month for $10, $15, $20, $25. And I would say our average donation is probably only around 15, 18 bucks.
This
And yet
may
we'll
be a
spend
loaded
$2,000 a
question,
month in postage.
But do the other service organizations, do they have any help for you that?
Once in a while, like when we do our barbecue on the river, the American Legion will generally donate to help us out. The DAV has helped us out, you know, it's at various times of the year, gives a little bit of a donation when they can. If we need help doing something, it's usually like the Marine Corps League members who end up helping us run booths and stuff like that. If we're really running short and we're like, hey guys, we got to have our regular members, our regular volunteers aren't available, 2 or 3 of them will generally step up. You know, they're pretty faithful about it.
Well, I'll get in touch with Vietnam Veterans of America, see what we can do to help you. We may not be much more than gathering snacks for you, but we can do something.
Anything.
We always
Every
can do
little thing
something.
helps.
The Corvette Club down in Mayfield, every quarter they come up and bring stuff that each quarter they pick 2 or 3 items, and that whole quarter they'll collect up maybe ramen noodles, and then the next month they'll pick Pop-Tarts, and the next month maybe deodorant. And about once a quarter they'll come up, they'll help us pack boxes, they'll make a little bit of a donation, and then they'll give us all this stuff that they've collected over a 3-month period.
How much does it cost to ship a box?
It actually costs around $35 to $45 per box.
Wow.
But $11.30 of that is the actual postage. And then we generally will have anywhere from $25 to $30, $35 worth of stuff in the box. But it's amazing how much stuff you can get in a medium flat rate box when you've been doing it for so long.
I imagine.
Our average box weighs about 11 pounds full of goodies, unless I pack it, and then it's usually around 14 pounds. 15 or 20.
Well, is there anything that we need to talk about as we close today that we haven't touched on that you feel like it's important?
There
Well-
is a Dollar Tree is having a
Yes.
drive the
Starting
whole
December
month
the
of
5th.
December.
Dollar Tree?
Starting December the 5th.
Okay.
Last year they collected over 7,000 items for us, which got us
Yes.
through the entire months of January, February, and March.
Yes.
So, you know, that's something that, and everything's $1, so it's not going to cost you a fortune,
Yeah.
but they've got a list of things that they sell that we use, and you just pick up, you know, some trail mix or
Yeah.
toothbrushes or something and pay for it and throw it in the box.
Well, we appreciate you, what you're doing. It's a very admirable cause, and I wish you a lot of success in the coming years.
Thank you.
You won't quit. I can tell you that already. You might for a
We've
week. or
tried.
two. You know,
And
as
it
long as
don't
there's
work.
a need, I think you all will be there. And I appreciate you coming on the show today, and I do thank you for that.
Well, the good Lord put it in His path 8 years ago, so, you know, we're
And
just...
I guess He'll tell us when to quit.
Yeah.
I guess so. Or age will one or the other.
One or the other.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, and
Thank you
you
so
for
much for having
us.
us.
you're welcome.